2014 marked a year where Japan rose a noticeable boner for anime titles with Tokyo, Tokyo Ghoul, Tokyo ESP, Mr. Rogers Tokyo, and terrorism apparently with Tokyo Terror/Terror in Resonance. This anime was released in July of 2014. It came straight out of MAPPA and was directed by the notable Watanabe, responsible for these classics. On the positive side, this anime is beautiful. It looks beautiful, it sounds beautiful, and the plot is fairly interesting. At the very least, it starts out really strong, but if there's one significant weakness about the series, it feels incomplete, which is not surprising considering the series consists of 11 episodes that don't exactly end with a subsequent season in mind. No, I'm not saying that longer means better. One good thing about the series is that it never gets boring. Some significant arc development is happening in every episode, and the series certainly understands a thing or two, or more, about pacing. Terror in Resonance follows two self-described terrorists with mysterious pasts as they run and bike all over Tokyo, causing havoc and engaging the local police in an initially fascinating cat-and-mouse game. Going by the name Sphinx, they blow up buildings, or threaten to do so anyway, without actually killing anyone. Gentlemen terrorists, if you will. Which kind of makes me wish that the real-life counterparts had a fraction of their sportsmanship. Speaking of which, it was a subject matter that made me initially skeptical that I could find any appeal in this series going in. But it didn't take long to put my apprehension aside. The two aren't anarchists, religious, or political extremists. If anything, they're on a mission of revenge, and as the plot swiftly reveals itself, they become sympathetic characters, easy to get behind, especially when these terrorists find themselves risking their lives to stop a terrorist attack that will result in the deaths of innocent people. However, I say this series comes across as incomplete because the second arc of the series needed to be more fleshed out. After the whole cops and terrorists Da Vinci Code intrigue of episodes 1 through 5, there were too many aspects that just didn't feel addressed. For one thing, what were 9 and 12 trying to accomplish in the first place? Did they want to let everyone know about the atrocities committed by the government? Okay, why don't you just straight up tell them? You don't think you can get their attention? Hey, I can empathize. Trying to promote your videos on the internet isn't exactly easy, but you had me at... They have the public attention. If the whole point of this was to bring awareness to their crappy childhood, they should have done so when they had a public platform. Delaying only serves against their benefit. And, regarding the ending, what purpose does it serve to wipe out the country's infrastructure, destroying the economy, food production, not including all the immediate deaths? Oh, you got all the planes on the ground, so no one has to die now. Congratulations. What about the hospitals? What about the hospitals? They need electronics to keep people alive. What are you gonna do? Hand crank a defibrillator? And now people can't watch your video. Information will travel less efficiently, which will only aid in helping the responsible bodies in the government cover up their tracks. Which brings up my second general issue, 5. In episode 6, 9's childhood friend, who's lived in the West for a while, pays a visit to Japan to hang out with him, maybe play some games, take in the local atmosphere. But seriously, I have no idea what she's trying to do. Am I helping the FBI? No. Do I want to play chess? Yes. Do I want to catch my friend? Maybe. By blowing up a train in an airport full of innocent people and kill my best friend's girlfriend? Because that'll make him like me. Which reminds me, the English in this series is hilarious.
Prop one pass activity log.
Yes, ma'am.
Put it down to users active in the last 15 minutes.
Yes, ma'am.
Check result airport personnel list.
Just a moment.
I'd like some more coffee. I'd like some more green tea.
And a little bit distracting.
You're kidding.
Maybe I have a better idea of what foreigners feel like when watching American movies about them, but the dialogue really breaks immersion of the show that's trying to be serious. It would have been more believable for the FBI to speak Japanese, which they do anyway, so what the fuck. Anyway, the biggest problem with 5 is that there's so little information conveyed to the audience about her. Keep in mind, it can be good, refreshing even, when a story doesn't feel the need to treat the audience like an idiot and spoon-feed every bit of information, usually with extra helpings of exposition that could otherwise be inferred with a classic show-don't-tell approach to storytelling. But the plot can also suffer from the opposite problem, of not giving the viewer enough context to follow the narrative. It's not so much that the story's plot points outright contradict each other, but not enough information is given to fill them in, and that's the reason I use the term incomplete to describe the second half of the series. 5 wants to beat 9, who she believes is smarter than her. Okay, she has her insecurities, that's understandable, but she doesn't want him caught by the local police. Okay, so her initial introduction as an expert to help the corrupt Japanese higher-ups is a lie, but she wants to catch him. For the US? To do what? take him back to the US, she won't live long enough. Neither will he, apparently. But no, she actually wants to kill him. Or maybe that was the plan from the start. But no, she just wants him? Now this was actually kind of an emotional scene, but it loses a lot of its drama because the character's journey from point A to point B doesn't add up. The ending is another example of this. Something tells me the Japanese won't give a flying anything about what happens to any of these characters at this point. They're too busy trying to survive the fallout of their nation. Whatever sympathy they might have garnered for your cause is now completely lost. Now, if I were so inclined, I could make up my own theories and justifications for why the characters act the way they do. Maybe write up some backstory and side story to fill in the gaps, and in fact a lot of people do. It's called fanfiction. But I won't, because it's the job of the series creators to craft, not necessarily the story, but certainly the narrative, into a form that can be reasonably followed. And I suspect that the shortcomings on their part have to do with a lot of outside factors that, unfortunately, can affect the story of a production like anime far more than the writers themselves sometimes. All these issues being said, I must confess, I liked this anime. To put it holistically, the presentation is amazing. The visuals, music, and pacing are expertly done and make up some very tense and touching moments. There's a lot here to like, and if your brain is so inclined, it's not hard to overlook what I perceived as narrative shortcomings and derive your own meaning from the experience.
I was stranded on an island where I roam without direction. Is that the wind lifting